You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is November 19th, 2024 meeting of the Michigan City Common Council Finance Committee. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening and welcome to the City of Michigan City Finance Committee meeting. Today is November 19th, 2024. The time now is 6:01 p.m. Starting off with the roll call, Mr. Beardsley,
Present.
Dr. Cora,
Present.
Tracy Tillman, present. We do have a quorum. And starting off with the Michigan City Riverboat Boyd claims docket for November 19th, 2024. Riverboat Fund number 2235, $38,592.30. Riverboat EFT 2235, $0. Boyd Development Fund 2504, $0. Total claims $38,592.30. These claims are for Reith and Riley Construction Company, and this is for the Krieger pavement, the pavement of Krieger Memorial. Also, the City of Michigan City 2024 Riverboat Fund Statement of Cash Position, fiscal year to date, November 30th, 2024. Our ending balance for Riverboat Fund 2235, $1,668,639.46. The Rainy Day Fund, Fund number 2236, ending balance $1,848,763.71. Our grand total for ending balance is $3,517,403.17. Is there a motion to accept the claims docket for November 19, 2024 in the amount of $38,592.30?
So moved. Second.
There was a motion by Mr. Beardsley and a second by Dr. Cora. And a vote on that, Dr. Cora? Mr. Beardsley?
Aye.
Ms. Tillman, aye. Any nays? There are none. Motion carries. Also, some financial matters that will be brought before the City Council on this evening. On first reading, they'll be discussing approving additional appropriations in the budget of the Refuse Fund for payment of workers' compensation claims, and that is to decrease the Refuse Funds number 2223 unappropriated balance of $200,000 to increase the account fund number 2223.00.434.010 $200,000 insurance workers' compensation. Also, on third reading, they will be discussing, finalizing, approving additional appropriation in the budget of the refuse funds for repairs needed for refuse equipment to decrease refuse funds number 2223 unappropriated balance $300,000 to increase the account fund number 2223.000.436.020 $300,000 repair and maintenance equipment. And on this, I would just like to share with everyone that this $300,000, when this came before the council at our last meeting, there was some clarity that needed to have been made in regards to the $300,000, where council was asking what was the repairs going to be. Those repairs have been done, and this is funds that is going to go back into, if Controller Hoffmaster or Ms. Smith, that the funds will go back, they will go back into, if you could tell me the other fund. Because
it's very good, City Controller. We found that there have been claims that have been paid earlier this year from our Central Maintenance Department, which is in our general fund, that we've got new department heads, everybody's trying to just to pay the bills that really should have been paid out of the refuse fund. That's a totally separate fund. And so we need to move the monies from the Central Maintenance Fund General fund, the central maintenance department over to the appropriate, so that's at least $20,000 to $30,000. We're trying to, I know, Daryl Grabachik was coming up with those numbers, so those will be moved out of his fund into refuse along with, and the number, did I say it? Okay, I'm sorry. That will be coming out of refuse and move back to, the central maintenance department, central maintenance budget. Excuse me. And I just ran real quickly at other budgetary status. There's more. I know our letters have been saying how much we're already over budget in the line item for the refuse for claims that have already been paid. That number has increased, I think, to almost like $160,000 now. Plus, we still have bills to pay from now to the end of the year. So that's why we just want to make sure we can pay all of our 2024 bills in 2024. Because that's part of the problem too, is we are paying last year's bills at the beginning of this year. We want to just make sure, because otherwise it's just gonna, end up decreasing next year's budget. So that's why it's 300 just to make sure we're covered until the end of the year.
Thank you.
I have a question. So this 300 is coming from the general fund?
No, I'm sorry. I think that was confusing. It's coming from the unappropriated balance of
the
the refuse fund.
Okay.
Correct. So it's just coming from, they have a healthy cash balance. So we're just moving from their cash balance up until, and putting it into their budget to make sure we can pay the bills to the end of the year. At the end of the year, whatever remaining will still stay in the refuse fund.
Okay.
And during that was one of my concerns when this came before us, and I was wanting to do a second and third reading at the council meeting, but because it was questions, it wasn't clear as to what the 300,000 was for. And I want to thank the controller's office because they did provide us with an itemized summary of what those expenses were, and that is how we derived at their request for going for $300,000.
Correct.
And the other question I had was, earlier on, you said some of the bills that were supposed to have been paid from the refuse fund were paid through central maintenance. So you're going to reimburse central maintenance fund back those monies which they had there.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Absolutely. They should not have been paid out of his budget.
Okay.
Correct. We'll correct that too.
But while you're there, I wanted to ask you a question, and that is, year-to-date revenues for the riverboat is $6,186,792. Is it as much as it was projected? Is it less, more? Where are we?
It's probably it's less than what was projected, unfortunately, because we're still talking about 2024. In 2024. We over projected the riverboat revenue. So it is less. I have been tracking it. In fact, I was just talking to Miko. I've been tracking it to see how much, if it's on par to what we received last year at this time. And our last distributions have been very close to what we received last year. And that's what we based it on for 2025.
Okay.
2024, we did over project the riverboat revenues, and we adjusted those accordingly for 2025's budget.
So to understand correctly, this correct, we are on track to receive the same amount as we received last year, but it is under what was projected.
Absolutely.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One quick question on the 300,000. Once all the money goes to the account it's supposed to go to, is refuse still going to have? They're going to have a positive balance at the end of the year because state board.
Absolutely, that's right. Absolutely, they will. They will have a positive balance, and then, like I said, then in January 2025, it all goes to the 2025 budget, and it kind of all starts over, and whatever balance is left. But yes, that is the most important part. Is that's why we need to do this, because we have to have the fund. It needs to be with a positive, and we only have we're at the end of the year. So you might have been a little bit more conservative with the number if we would have had more council meetings to be able to request more money, but we're at the end. So just to make sure we're covered. You're welcome.
Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns or comments by the committee? Is there anyone from the public? Any comments from the public?
Nico Smith, I'm the deputy controller. I would just ask to not let the audience take you down a rabbit hole now that you actually have an understanding of what we've been trying to do. I've been saying to Mary Lynn, the simplest explanation is always the best and the easiest. Refuse only budgeted $140,000 this year, or the budget that was created for Refuse. They did not have a superintendent last year, so the budget that was created for them for repairs was only $140,000, and they've already had 298 this year. That's why we need, you know what I'm saying? And these repairs had to be done so that the services can be provided. And I think when the audience comes up and they ask questions and it takes them down, you go down a whole nother path and you kind of lose where we were supposed to be at, because Daryl's calling us every week. I need this money in my account. You know what I mean? So we're trying to move and give as much information as we can. So I'm glad you are clarifying and you guys are asking the questions so you'll know, what we're trying to do.
Appreciate what you're saying, but I can guarantee you that there'll be someone.
But you guys are better armed now,
There you go.
right?
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Is there anyone online with any comments from the public? Comments from the public? There are none. If there are no other additional concerns to address, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Time now. About the what?
Yeah, let me, actually, I'm so glad you asked me that question. Here was my question. Workman's comp, do we have an insurance that pays workman's comp claims, or are we self-insured?
We are self-insured for workers' comp.
Okay.
That's part of, and so once again, we budget basically, and even for our health insurance, we budget money for workers' comp. We kind of spread that amongst all the departments. And at the end of the year, we're going to be short in what's in our workers' comp fund. Same kind of issue we're going to have with the State Board of Accounts. Obviously, we need the money, and the fund is not going to be sufficient. I did an analysis to see, okay, if we really have to do an additional appropriation, what department and what fund should we take that additional appropriation from? It became with Refuse, because Refuse has the highest amount of claims. I have no control over what I receive a weekly report from the company that manages our workers' comp claims on how much we're paying out for workers' comp. I don't know what that number is going to be for the next 7 weeks. So that's why I know we need at least, I think I came up with the 100, I estimated an amount for the next 7 weeks, and I believe that will cover us to the end of the year for workers' comp.
And
Yeah.
the other question I wanted to ask you was, instead of being self-insured, have we ever looked at having like an insurance company manage it completely, where we pay some premium and then we know exactly how much our expenses are going to be?
I believe we've done that in the past. General Insurance, we rely heavily on, because they're the insurance experts.
Right.
And they've always, when we've consulted with them, and they've looked at the market, and they do this every year, and they still feel that the way we have our workers' comp set up. We have like what we could, I don't know if the term is stop loss. We do have protections, and we buy additional policies so that if we had some huge workers' comp claims, we are protected.
Right.
On the top side. That we don't, somebody has a major accident. We do have some protection for some loss on that.
And which is the company which is managing the workman's comp?
JWF.
JW.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If there are no further questions,
Now I make a
is
motion.
there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion carries. Time now is 6:15 p.m.